Anyway, I mean, I can go on. If I call him up to help with something, he's the first one there. So anyway, Murph, I toast you for all the gifts that God has given you, both in your heart and your head, and you live them to the fullest.
I gotta pick up my daughter from Avengers Endgame here in a few minutes. So I'm gonna go next. This is, there'll be plenty of jokes. I'm gonna follow a similar line. When did we first meet, dude?
At a meeting.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Network.
That clears it up. How long?
We met at a meeting.
My first and only stint at a network marketing deal.
Which one?
Hold on. So I knew him 3 years before I met him. I was a fan of his 3 years before I met him. Right? And I went into a meeting and everyone's like, oh, this is blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah, and this is Drew Bray. I go, I know Drew Bray. They go, you do? I go, yeah, this guy's got like 5 albums. This guy's a crazy recording artist, traveled all over the world, blah 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 blah. And Drew's like, okay, like who the hell are you? Sorry, but that's how I met him.
Anyway, the kids were tiny. Caitlin was, I don't know how old Caitlin was, just a little, and here she is. My daughter's 15 and a half. It's all going so quickly. My affections for Murphy run deep. I was just thinking to myself, if I was tasked to be in charge of restarting planet Earth with good people, and I had 10 to choose from, I would say this guy has to be one of those people. The world needs a guy like him. For all the reasons Kim just mentioned, for all the reasons you guys know. You guys all know. I mean, I wanted to go a second selfishly because I didn't want to have to be like repeating everybody else's similar stories, because there's going to be through lines here that are like his full heart, his imagination, his. In Ireland, there's this thing where you kiss the Blarney Stone and you get the gift of the gab. And this guy.
I made out with it.
Made love to the Blarney Stone. I mean,
Are you saying Mike Prince kissed it?
oh, yeah, 100 times.
He made out with it.
I've been around Murphy a few times in some business settings where, and that's what I love about him. He's got such a sense of adventure and a spirit for what's possible that I have seen him. He's quick on his feet, like unlike, and I know some very gifted guys even in speaking, and few of them match his wit and his ability to just come up with stuff that may or may not be super accurate all the time. but it sounds compelling enough to maybe be true.
Especially now.
But he delivers it in a way that you're like, oh, that's probably right. Even in some business meetings where he's like, he's got the thing half cooked, but he's just going to go with it and just, he makes believers out of people, and it's easy to see it happen. I don't even remember how this happened. I was in some meeting with him, and he can't help himself to tell stories. It's how he endears himself to people. It's a gift that he has. And he was into this one story, and in the story, he was coming to the part where part of the punchline had to do with something that had to do with an elevator. And he couldn't get the word elevator out of his mouth, but he kept saying submarine. I mean, if you've heard Michael mess with his words sometimes, it's beautiful. How did he come up with that? And he tried it a few times, and submarine kept coming out. Like, what is that? It's just, he's like, eventually, he told me later, it was supposed to be elevator, but he couldn't, in the moment, he couldn't figure it out. And he probably still got all of us to laugh, and it probably worked out still, but anyway, I do sincerely love you. I love that my kids have had all the hits and touches that they've had with you in their life. You are a consummate optimist. I've cried with you. You've been real in moments. You don't shy away from the flesh of pain and joy and everything in between, but you're a guy that I would trust with anything that's happening in my life. I'm always curious to hear your take on things. I value it so much, and I'm looking forward to the next 20, 30, 40 years that we have together. So, happy birthday, man.